morning, all of you. Today we are going to read class 7th history, chapter number 10, political new political formation part 2. So, a student, in the previous chapter, in the previous video, I had explained about the Mughals, the later Mughals basically. In that, I had explained that the last capable ruler of the Mughal Empire was the Aurangzeb, and after the death of Aurangzeb in 1707, none of the appropriate rulers sat on the throne so that they can hold or strengthen the whole empire. So this was the main reason uh, that the Mughal Empire get led to the decline. The other points we had discussed that the this integration of power in the state, as well as the nobles and mansabdar, those who took the mansabdari and the responsibility of particular territories, they all have they all declared themselves as an independent state and did not follow the Mughal rulers. So this was the another reasons and less efficient of the military equipments and the army, the as well as not the improper collection of the revenue. So all these are the points which resulted into the decline of the Mughal Empire during that time. So decline led to the independence of the new several state. Many states formed new, many states they disintegrate from the Mughal Empire, and many rose. They were the power of they were in the Mughal Empire, but they rose themselves apart from the Mughal Empire. So in this video, we will learn about the some of the regional powers that grow during the medieval period after the disintegration of the Mughal Empire after 707. Now, beginning with the Rajputs. So, basically, during the Mughal Empire, Rajputs were the main alliances. Rajput were the main alliances uh, to the to the Mughal Empire, because most of the Rajput families they done the matrimonial alliances and also alliances so that they can be the relative, they can be the allies, so they cannot fight with each other. So this is the reason when Mughal emperor thought that they should think about the Rajput and the Rajput families. So this is the reason when they have the alliances, they do not fight with each other. But Akbar also asked them to, if asked them to suzerainty, because if they do not follow the suzerainty means that the attempting the overlordship of Akbar. So what he did, he fought with them and captured their whole territories. So these are the things that is done by the Akbar and the former rulers. But after the death of Aurangzeb, though Aurangzeb was very strict, he was very strict about his laws, he was very strict about his Islamic law. He wanted to convert many as people into the Islam or the Muslim religion, so that he can make a build India as the Islamic country beyond the Hindu country. So this angered many of the people. This kind of policy is angered by many of the people, basically non-Muslim people, those who belongs to the Buddhism, Jainism, Hindus, or the Sikh. Many of them are there, those who angered from these policy. So earlier, many of the also ruler during the Akbar and the Shah Jahan and Jahangir regions, many of the Rajput rulers did not accept the suzerainty of the Mughal Empire. So they fought with each other. And sometimes some of the those who are the small kingdoms, those who are weak kingdoms, they lost the battle, and automatically his or her kingdom goes to the Mughal Empire. Here several Rajput rulers came into existence. So Savai Raja Jai Singh, he was once one of the famous ruler of the Jaipur, or we can say Amer, during that time, and he was also noble. He got some of the nobility of a particular place so that he can rule from there. He got the Agra's nobility. So after some time, when he gained power after the disintegration of the Mughal Empire, he hold his own empire and he started ruling near the Amber and area. So he was there for 1681 to 1743, and he was considered as the prominent Rajput rulers. He also known for his founding the Jaipur city. Now it is present day state of the Rajasthan. That Jaipur city is well planned. Why it is well planned? Because he had he had adopted the Vedic planning, that is the Silpa Shastra. So on the basis of, on the principles of Silpa Shastra, he constructed the Jaipur city, and this is very good. It is looking like that the street and main street and sub streets are crossing towards each other at the 90-degree angles. So these kind of things are present in the Jaipur city. So this is a planned one, and the cities, the houses which is built over there, the palaces which is built over there, they all most colored in the pink. So that is why this Jaipur city is also known as Pink City. He was known for he was also astronomer in the sense he took the interest in the universe, galaxy and all. So he built astronomical observatories. So you know very well observatories are there like Jantar Mantar. So he built a several Jantar Mantar so that he can he this these construction shows that the interest of astronomy is very much important during that time to the Savai Raja Jai Singh. So he constructed five major Jantar Mantar or the observatories, astronomical observatories, like he constructed in Jaipur, Delhi, Ujjain, Mathura, and Banaras. So he there are the five places in there he constructed the astronomical observatories, so that the people, those who are living over there, so that they can take the interest in the astronomy and try to learn about that. Constant infighting among the Rajputs, their inability to organize themselves as a cohesive unit, as well as subjugation of by Maratha, led to the decline of the Rajputs. So this is the main point that you have to understand, that the all the Rajput rulers, they did not cohesive, means they did not get together and fought against the foreign invaders as well as the Indian invaders. Like invaders in the sense the attackers. Like the Marathas are doing the expansion policy. As per the expansion policy, Marathas are trying to capture the Rajputanas area. So these Rajputs or rulers did not get together, and they did not protected their empire. So that's why the whole Rajputana families has to suffer from this. So many of the Marathas, they came over there. Also you had already read about the Nadir Shah invasion, and also you will also read about the Ahmad Shah Abdali. Okay, Nadir Shah, I had explained that he came from Iran, and he plundered Delhi and the peripheral areas. He plundered Delhi as well as peripheral areas. So he looted from there. Also, Ahmad Shah Abdali came. Ahmad Shah Abdali came for 5 times. He came for 5 times. Firstly, he came with the Nadir Shah. But when Nadir Shah get died, after the death of the Nadir Shah, after some years, Ahmad Shah Abdali came into India, and he also looted the wealth of the Indian subcontinent. 5 times he came. So this is the reason. So foreign invaders and as well as the Indian subcontinent attackers, these all makes the Rajput rulers weak, and because of that only many of the Rajput rulers get Rajput families, or we can say the kingdoms, get disintegrated. So this is the reason. And later on, when the Britishers came in India, so they also led to the they also started capturing uh, gradually and slowly the Indian territories. Now you can see the picture of the map of India. There you can see some of the states. Now first you have to see the dotted line. That is the area of the Mughal Empire, and also you can also see that the places, the red areas, you can see the red areas where these rulers have came. These areas have freed from the Mughal Empire. First you can see the Sikh, then Jats, then Awadh area, Bengal area, Malwa, Gujarat, Marathas, and Hyderabad. Now Jat and Jaipur, Jodhpur area, you can see that is the Rajputanas areas, from where uh, they independent they independent they make their states independent from the Mughal Empire. So this is the thing about the Rajput families. Now moving towards the next community, or we can say the next power that came into power, or we can say rose. Basically, they rose in the power. That was the Sikh community. Earlier, the Sikh gurus shared the cordial relationship with the Mughal rulers like Akbar, because of the alliances policy, because of the friendship policy. These Sikh rulers, or we can say Sikh gurus, had the good relationship with the Mughals, because they also worked as a Mughal workers, or we can say Mughal officials, during the reign of Akbar and Shahjahan and Jahangir. But Aurangzeb was there, and Aurangzeb did not accept the non-Muslim communities, and that is why he not like the Sikh community basically, and they always forced them to accept the sovereignty of the Aurangzeb, as well as to accept the Islam religion, but they did not accept it. It is said that Guru Tegh Bahadur, the Guru Tegh Bahadur, ninth Guru, was there. He refused to he refused to accept the Islam, and that is why he was killed on the spot in 1675. In 1675, the ninth Sikh Guru, you have already read about the 10th Sikh Guru, and the ninth one is the Guru Tegh Bahadur, and he was executed in 1675 by not accepting the Muslim religion or the Islam religion. And this gives the Sikh community to think about to against the Mughal Empire, and did not help them in uh, did not help them any further wars. So after the death of Guru Tegh Bahadur, his son Guru Gobind Singh was there. He was there, and uh, he, he became the next guru, or the last guru of the Sikh community. He was also known for making the Khalsa, or the military brotherhood. What is Khalsa? Khalsa is a group or organization in which he prepared the number of people, or number of disciples of himself, or the Guru Gobind Singh's disciple. He trained them how to fight. They asked them to keep several things, to keep, you have already read in the chapter number 9, or sorry, chapter number 8 9, chapter number 9, you have already read that 5K: Kesh, Kangha, Kacha, Kripan, and Kada. These are the 5K of the Sikh community, of the Khalsa, basically Khalsa community. Okay, they were trained fighters. They were brave fighters. And why this Guru Gobind Singh started the Khalsa community? The reason is that when the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb started exploiting them, started killing them or torturing them, so during that time, for the protection of the Sikh community, he started the Khalsa community, or the group of Khalsa. So in that, they were the people. Khalsa is word from Khalis. Khalis means pure. So pure people means those who are mentally, physically, they are pure. So they were considered as the Khalsa, or the Khalis. So these people fought against the Mughal Empire, and to protected their community for the further invasion or further attacks. So this is the best thing that is done by the Guru Gobind Singh during his rule. But after the death of Guru Gobind Singh, Guru Gobind Singh, after the death of he also lost, Guru Gobind Singh also lost his son in the battle, in the fight against the Mughal Empire. They also killed the Guru Gobind Singh, and their and his sons too, and he wanted to accept the Islam, and but the Guru Gobind Singh did not accept this. Okay, after the death of Guru Gobind Singh, before the death of Guru Gobind Singh, he constituted the all of the book, all of the writings of the other nine Guru and his himself. He constituted them and make a book, that is the Adi Granth Sahib or Guru Granth Sahib or Adi Granth Sahib. So he collected all the hymns, all the praises, and all the philosophy of his teachers or the rest of the nine teachers, and make a book. And he asked his disciples to not to be any, means he asked that from this stage no gurus will be there. This book is the only guru, and the disciples have to follow the rules and regulation which is written in this Adi Granth Sahib. One of the disciple, one of the disciple of Guru Gobind Singh was Banda Bahadur. He was there for the reason during the reign of Bahadur Shah I, and he also fought bravely against the Mughal Empire. It is also said that Banda Bahadur was get he was in the court, or he was in the prison of the Bahadur Shah or the Mughal emperor. He also asked to convert the religion, but he did not accept it. In front of the Banda Bahadur, his two young children were killed, and forcefully asked him to accept the Islam religion, but he did not. And his eyes were also removed. He was tortured. His skins were removed, and many of the tortures, the unlimited tortures is given to the Banda Bahadur, but he did not accepted the sovereignty of the, or the accepted the Islam religion. After his death, after the death of the Banda Bahadur, the Sikh community organized into 12 missiles. Missile or the missiles or the confederacy means 12 group. They are divided into 12 group. The 12 people are holding the power to rule, or basically we can say they run the Sikh areas which is captured by the Guru Gobind Singh, and the area which is comes under them. Also, this is the time when the conflict is getting started. This is the time when the conflict is getting started between all between the Sikh community, and this conflict makes the Sikh community weak, and as well as it is the time when the foreigners started invading the Sikh and the Sikh areas. So here one of the 12 mills, from one ruler, or we can say one proper the son of one mills, his name was Raja Ranjit Singh, Maharaja Ranjit Singh. He came, and when he rose and when he attempted the one of the mills, he organized all these mills into the single power or single group. All the 12 areas which was further earlier it was divided, they all came together and form one group. So the Maharaja Ranjit Singh, he sees a lot of area, not only the area in which they were living. He also sees various areas like Lahore in 1799, Amritsar in 1802, and he established the strongest kingdom during his period. He also added the Peshawar, Multan, and Kashmir. So Peshawar is Pakistan, Multan is Afghanistan, as well as Kashmir. So various areas means during the rule of Ranjit Singh, the maximum area it is covered by the Sikh community, and ruled by Maharaja Ranjit Singh. It was also said that accidentally he lost his one eye when he was very young. He lost his one eye accidentally, but he was considered as the greatest ruler, or we can say the leader of the Sikh community, who conquered a larger area and also ruled over there, and protect against the enemies. And this is the thing that you have to read about the Sikh community. So they also grows during that time. But the when the arrival of Britishers are there, and also um the fight against the Marathas. So first, earlier it was Marathas, those who came to the Sikh region, Punjab region. Later on, the whole power goes to the British and its company, that is the English East India Company. The next, uh, the next territory, or we can say the next territory, those who um, declared themselves independent from the Mughal authority was the Awadh. Awadh is the area where it's near the area of Lucknow, Kanpur, Banaras, and some areas of the Allahabad. So all these area comprises the Awadh region. So during the time of Mughal Empire, uh, Muhammad Shah, he appointed Muhammad Shah appointed the first Nawab of Awadh was the Burhan ul Mulk Saadat Khan. So Burhan ul Mulk Saadat Khan was the first Nawab of the Awadh, and uh, he he was a noble of Mughal Empire, and earlier he also worked earlier he also worked in many places, but at the time of Muhammad Shah, at the time of Muhammad Shah, Burhan ul Mulk get the nobility, or the Nawab of he became the Nawab of the Awadh during that time. Why he helped them? Because the Sayyid brothers, you have already read in the previous topic, Sayyid brothers were there, so they were known as the kingmaker, and many of the rulers in the during the Sayyid brothers time, they were the puppets of the Sayyid brothers. So when Muhammad Shah get the chance, so he overthrew the Sayyid brothers and ruled himself. So here the Burhan ul Mulk helped him, and that is why he got the nobility, or we can say he became the Nawab of the. He was appointed as the Nawab of Awadh. Later on, he managed on all of the political, financial, and military affairs. So when he got the when he became the Nawab of Awadh, so he had the all powers, and all powers are in is within with his hand, whether it is a political, whether it is a financial or military. If all these, the financial is the most important part of any kingdom. The finance is not secured, so there cannot be military. um, the military cannot be maintained, and when the military cannot be maintained, so definitely political instability will be seen. So all of the powers related to the financial, related to the military, as well as political, is came under the Burhan ul Mulk. After the death of Burhan ul Mulk, his son-in-law or nephew, both, that is the Safdar Jung, he succeeded him, and when he was there, when Safdar Jung was there, he extended his empire up to the Rohilkhand, or the kingdom to the Rohilkhand. Rohilkhand is the area that is the upward near the Delhi areas, or near the Delhi territories. So these areas getting extended up to that area. He extended his empire. The rulers of Awadh succeeded in establishing peace and justice, curbing lawlessness. So they are known for their establishing the peace and justice in their empire. Lawlessness is also means law is also practiced in their kingdom, and improve the revenues of the state. Also organize a powerful military. So these Nawab, the Mughal Empire getting disintegrated, but during that time only, these Nawabs are becoming more and more powerful, and having the enjoying the maximum power beyond the Mughal rulers. They also extended the royal patronage to growth of art and literature. So during their rule, they also focused on the art and literature, and but the time of Britishers came into India, so these all power which were grown during the 18th century and 17th century, those power is getting lessened day by day, and the Britishers captured those areas as well. Moving towards the next territory, which also declared themselves as which declared themselves as a free territory, that was the Hyderabad. So Hyderabad became also free territories where they can where the one of the Nizam, or we can say one of the noble is appointed, was Nizam ul Mulk Asaf Zahan. He was his name was Chin Kulij Khan, but he assumed the title of Nizam ul Mulk, and he was the governor of Awadh, but but this Farrukhsiyar and Muhammad Shah, they both were happy. These are the Mughal rulers. Remember, these are the Mughal rulers. Farrukhsiyar and Muhammad Shah were the Mughal emperor. They were happy with the work of Chin Kulij Khan, and they sent him to the Deccan area where where he became the noble of Hyderabad, and he acquired the title of Nizam ul Mulk, and his name was Asaf Zah. His name was Asaf Zah and Chin Kulij Khan. Both naam is there of him, the Nawab of the or the noble of the Hyderabad. He assumed the title of Nizam ul Mulk. So Nizam ul Mulk is a title, and his name was Asaf Zah. Don't confuse. So Nizam ul Mulk, he himself, or we can say he got this title from the Farrukhsiyar because of his work and the dedication towards the Mughal Empire. He also held whole authority, whether it is financial, military, judicial, or political powers. So all of the powers, if came into a particular ruler, so that directly means that he didn't want to cooperate with the main ruler or the main empire. So he came this the Hyderabad became a new territory or the new area. He started he When he left, or we can say when he declared himself as an independent state, so he started a new dynasty, that is the Asaf Jahi dynasty, and his successor were known as the Nizam of the area. Now uh, he these nizams, they also set a proper efficient system of administration, and also they brought the rebellions jabedar under their control. They also tackled the growing power of the Maratha. So these nobles, or the we can say the nizams, these nizams also protected their territories with the Maratha, because Maratha is growing that time. You will read in the next topics. So Maratha's power is growing on, and they are becoming powerful. So the Nizam of Hyderabad, they also protecting their territories um, from the Marathas, as well as the rebellions. You know very well, I had explained also, when the Mughal Empire get disintegrated, so all of the jamidars and all of the nobles started refusing to pay the taxes. They also starting the taking the excess revenue from the farmers, and they also did not paying the taxes to the emperor. So all these makes they all these things are showing as a rebel, and this rebels, or we can say these things also faced by the Nizams of the Hyderabad. So they took uh, they brought all the rebellions under their control and ruled the Hyderabad region. Now moving towards the next area which they have declared themselves independent, was the Nawab of Bengal. So Bengal was the next area. There you can read the Bengal's Nawab was his name was Farrukhsiyar. His name was Murshid Kuli Khan, and he was appointed by Mughal Emperor Farrukhsiyar. So here you will also see that all the powers is in the hand of the Murshid Kuli Khan, whether the political, financial, and everything. And because of the instability of in the Mughal emperor or the Mughal empire, he took advantage of it, and he became the Nawab of Bengal and or the ruler of the Bengal. He was appointed in the year of 1717, and he shifted his capital from Dhaka to Murshidabad. So his name was Murshid, and he established one city, that is the Murshidabad. And Dhaka, though the Dhaka is the capital of Bangladesh, that was famous during that, from that time only. So Dhaka was a famous area, and he shifted his capital from Dhaka to Murshidabad to show that he's a capable ruler, and he did not want the interference of the Mughal Empire. After the death of Murshid Quli Khan, he was succeeded by the Sujauddin from 1727 to 39, and after Sujauddin, Ali Wardi Khan was there from 1714 to 1756. So 1756, you will read about the Battle of Plassey. Okay, these the area which they declared themselves as an independent, you will read more, or in the explained manner in the class 8, because these are the linked point of the class 8 and class 8 history basically. So from the Battle of Plassey 1757, the Britishers or the English East India Company get the chance to rule over there. Okay, now this was the time when the Nawab of Bengal and Nawab of Awadh, as well as Mughal emperor, forms the alliances, or the we can say they all form a group, and they fought against the British. But the result of this fight was the loss, means that they lost the battle, as well as they also lost the revenue of the Bihar, Bengal, and Odisha and the other states. So they lost the revenue control, they lost the diwani of those areas, and that's make the step. This gives the foothold to the British to establish their empire in the Indian subcontinent. This is the place. Earlier they have control over the market, but this battle of Plassey gives them the opportunity to make a foothold in the Indian subcontinent. Um, they took the warlords, or we can say they took the advantage of the war, and they also took the diwani, or the revenue collection rights, from the Bihar, Bengal, and Odisha, from the Nawab of Bengal and Awadh, as well as Mughal emperor. So this battle prove as a strong foothold for the British Empire. Okay, when the Nawab of Bengal were ruling before the arrival of the British, the administration runs very well, and they also tackle the corrupt and influent official, and also they encourages the growth of agriculture, trade, and industry, as well as they also regularize the revenue system, or the revenue collection. So these are the things that we have to read, and the rest of the rulers that during the before the Battle of Plassey, all those rulers you will read about. The last Nawab was the Sirajuddaulah, and the battle during that time, he lost the Bengal, or the Nawab of the he lost the territory of Bengal, and that goes to the British Empire. So these all points we will learn briefly in the class 8. Now moving towards the next empire that rose, not disintegrate, that rose after the Mughal disintegration, was the Mysore. So Mysore, you have already heard the name of Tipu Sultan and the Hyder Ali. So there you can see the picture of Hyder Ali, the first one, and the next one is the Tipu Sultan. So Hyder Ali, he established the independent kingdom of Mysore in 1761, after taking over the Mysore ruler, that his name was Nanj Raja Wadayar. So he belongs to the Wadir dynasty. He was the ruler of Mysore, and he took uh, the Mysore Empire with him. Uh, he was he won several battles against the Maratha Nizam of Hyderabad as well as the British. So Hyder Ali was known for his bravery, and also he did a lot of. He also improved. He also improved his military as well as naval, or the navy also, and he was a very efficient ruler, and he managed his all rule, and he was he encourages trade and craft when he was in the role. After the Hyder Ali, the next his son came into power. His name was Tipu Sultan. He was there for 1780 to 99. He ruled over there, and he also fought two wars against the British. So that is also known as Anglo-Mysore War. So these wars were fought. These war were very important in the Indian history, because during these wars the advanced technology of warfare is used by the Tipu Sultan, because he was very learned person. He also learned various uh, warfare techniques as well as various weapons. He took various weapons, or he introduced various weapons from himself, as well as he traded from the other countries. So with those weapons he protected his territories, but at last in the battle with the Britishers, he was killed, or we can say he died in that battle. He was very instrumental in modernizing the military, because I told you that he promoted the trade with the France, Turkey, Iran, China, Russia. So he traded with them, and he earned a knowledge about the several modern techniques or modern industries. So by learning all those things, he was aware. He was very aware about regarding the protection of his empire, and he protected the empire various time from the Britishers as well as Marathas and the Nizams of Hyderabad. He designed the models of ship, so it is very good. He took a keen interest in the navy, because it is at the coastal areas. His rule is near the coast. His extent of the empire was near the coastal area, so he took very interest in the navy, and he modernized his navy force, and he also modeled various ship. He also built two dockyards, the ports, as well as introduced a new coinage, a new coin. Also he introduced a new calendar. So he had done several things for the protection of his own empire. Inspired from the French Revolution, he also planted a tree of liberty as his capital, Seringamapatnam. So he planted the tree of liberty uh, where he asked the he represent himself that he was inspired from the French Revolution. So liberty is the main. Liberty means the freedom. Liberty means the freedom to the citizens of the empire. So he planted a tree of liberty as in the Seringamapatnam, and he also used the technique of warfare, and he was died heroically during the defending of his kingdom, and which brought the Mysore uh, to the territories of the British. Later on, the British captured those areas, because during that time, Mysore became very important place for the trade, for the conquering areas and various part. So Mysore was very famous during that time. So these are the things that we have to read in this topic. In the next video, we will read about the Maratha, the most prominent, the most prominent, the most prominent power that came into rose after the disintegration of Mughal and during the time of later Mughals. So now your homework is that you have to write about uh, the Hyderabad, who is the Nizam of Hyderabad, and what he got the title, and what his dynasty known for. That all points, a brief note on the Hyderabad that you have to write in your copy. Thank you, students.